you feel exhausted, unmotivated, distracted at work, the real question isn't just, am I burned out? But you also might be wanting to ask yourself, have I outgrown my career? That's a word. I'm Dr. Kiki Ramsey, your favorite positive psychologist and career coach. And we are really going to be getting into the question that I think so many of us have. Is it burnout, or have you actually outgrown your career, right? In one of my last videos, I talked about the 7 signs that you are unhappy at work. And if you haven't done so, go check that video out. But here's the thing. A lot of us are struggling at work. We are tired. We're exhausted. We're angry. We're upset. We don't get along with our coworkers. We don't communicate well. We don't hear feedback well. And none of these things may be based on you, right? They may be because you have just outgrown the career that you're in. I coach so many women. And I can remember just recently having a conversation with one of my clients, and she was talking about how much she felt she was burnt out and just, kind of ready to go and do something else, or just needing a break or a vacation. And I really had to stop and have her clarify what she thought burnout was versus if it was something bigger like misalignment with her career. And for her, we actually figured out that it was misalignment, and she had actually, honestly, outgrown the career, and it was time for her to do something else. But we didn't move to action right away. Her just knowing that this is where she's at in life gave her a huge weight off her shoulders, because now she can take the time to figure out what's next for her. And sometimes that's what we need. The reason why all of this matters is because you need something different for each one of those things. If it's burnout, for instance, you need rest. You need support, right? You need some time off, right? And you need a vacation, and you can recover when it's burnout. But if you've outgrown your career, you actually need clarity. You need change. There's some things that are going to happen that is more than just you taking a vacation or you taking some time off from work. You're going to actually really have to sit down and gain the answers to some of your toughest questions that you might have been putting off answering. And this will keep going on and on and on. And if you don't figure out which one it is for you, you'll treat this like you're stuck. Right? And you'll just keep being stuck. And that's not what we want for you. So let's first dive into what burnout really is. Burnout is exhaustion and overwhelm. You get up and you go to, your place of employment, your career, your job, and you are just completely tired. You might get up in the morning and you might be like, I don't want to go to work. The fact is, research says that more than 50% of Americans hate their jobs. Every time I say that statistic out loud to some of my audiences, they'll say, I think it's more like 90%, right? Not everybody hates their job. But sometimes we do. And the things that go on in our job just tends to burn us out. I started off as a social worker. So I was, in the beginning of my career, I was a child welfare social worker. And then I went on to become a medical social worker in one of the biggest hospitals in Baltimore, Maryland. And I loved those jobs. I mean, I loved what I was doing with those jobs, meaning I was truly helping people. Hands down, it was a very rewarding career. And shout out to all the social workers, the therapists, the teachers, because the job that we do, I honestly think that it takes a special person to do those jobs. And I was one of those people, right? My best friends are those people as well. But I ended up getting so burned out from the job that I was consistently just exhausted and mentally overwhelmed by the depth of everything that I had to do with the job. Caseloads were high, especially when I was in social work. My caseload was high, like real high. And I was out at all times a night with, these beautiful babies that needed supporting. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting. And I knew it wasn't only physically exhausting though. Like, I think that's what we don't realize about burnout. We think that if our body is just physically tired, then that's just what it is. But it just doesn't have to be our body. It can be our mind. I was emotionally and mentally tired after work every day. And that's a problem. That's a problem. And I knew that I needed to take some time off from the job. And so luckily I was able to take some time off, but not enough. But when it's burnout, right? Burnout improves with time off. It improves with time off. So if you're in a job or a career and you take time off and it doesn't improve, that's a sign. That's a sign that it might not be burnout. It may be misalignment. It may be that, it's time to move to another career. Burnout also improves with boundaries. When you set boundaries in place, burnout improves, right? Like when you go to your supervisor and say, because I have so many responsibilities at home, I, am not going to be able to check emails after 5 o'clock, after 6 o'clock, after whatever. That's setting a boundary, right? Hopefully that's your supervisor. If you did say that to your supervisor, and I can share with you a cleaner way to do that. But I'm just giving you this for an example purposes. They would understand, right? But that's you setting a boundary that you're not checking your emails at 12 midnight and them not expecting for you to respond, because that's a little overboard. And then burnout also improves if you reduce your load. Like, so say for instance, when I was working child welfare, if I was able to give like half of my cases away, then my burnout could improve. Like if you have a big load, I know some of us are working 2 and 3 people's jobs. It's happening every day. I see it, I hear it. And the load is hard. The load is heavy, but burnout improves if your company hires somebody else to do one of the jobs that you're doing, then your burnout should improve. That doesn't happen when it's misalignment, when you need to move or think about moving to another job. So here's the thing. What does outgrowing a career look like? So we talked about burnout, but sometimes it's not burnout. Sometimes you've outgrown a career. We are human beings. I can tell you this. I am not the person I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Sometimes I'm not even the person I was 5 years ago. We grow. We're supposed to change. We're supposed to grow. And sometimes we are at jobs for such a long time that the job itself can't keep up with our growth. And so misalignment happens. Values shift. Things change. And if you change, but the job doesn't, make it make sense. And that's what a lot of us are dealing with. We change. The job stays the same in many ways. I mean, I'm sure there's changes, but in many ways, the job stays the same. And let me just tell you this. People don't like change. Like it's just, we just don't like change. So in some jobs, when people have been in positions for a very long time, they are comfortable and they don't like the change. And so if the people around you are staying the same, even though we all still change, but if they don't want to do things differently, then it makes things hard and you might have outgrown your job. And so when we're talking about outgrowing your career, sometimes your values change. What was important to you back then is no longer important to you And now what's important to you is the fact that you want to make sure that you have enough time to have margin in your life. It's interesting. I was talking to one of my coaching students this past week or this last week, and he was saying, Dr. Kiki, I don't want to grind right now. Like my dream, we were talking about dreams, and I'm a big proponent that some of us have stopped dreaming in life. And he was saying that I don't really want to, I have dreams, but I want my dreams to support the life I want to live right now. And that makes so much sense. Your dreams and your goals and your career should support the life that you want to live in the moment. And he don't want to be out there grinding and doing all these things. And you know, the whole hustle and the grind culture will tell you that you need to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Make it make sense. It don't make sense. So when we're talking about growing and having our career fit our life, if you no longer value the same things, then it may be that you've outgrown your career. If your work no longer reflects who you are, it may be that you've outgrown your career. If you feel totally misaligned, if you're like, this just don't feel good no more. This doesn't feel like me. Then you've outgrown your career. And it may be time for you to start thinking about what that's going to look like for you. How do you actually tell the difference, right? You just have to do a simple comparison. Ask yourself, does rest refuel me, right? Like, ask yourself, does rest refuel you? If it does, then you might have just been experiencing burnout. On the flip side, ask yourself do I need clarity right now? What does clarity do for me in my life? Do I actually feel like I just need to get clear about some things? Then it could be that you need to sit down and think about it. Have you outgrown your career, right? So what do you do now? What do you do now? Now that you've realized that either you're burnt out because, you can get some rest, but you need rest, right? If it's burnout, guess what you need to do? You need to pull back and try to take some time to get some rest. And I know what you're going to say. Dr. Kiki, but I can't. But the job needs me. The career needs me. And what I'm going to say to you, and please hear this from me with all sincerity and love, you must. You don't have an option, because you cannot continue to give from an empty cup. It makes no sense, because if you do, you're going to be no good for you. And then who you going to be helping? Nobody. And I want to give you another secret, and this might be hard to hear. Most of us, if we left our job today, they would move on. I'm not saying that your employer is not great. I'm not doing any of that. But I do know that if you left your job today, even if something happened to you, guess what they will have to do? Move on. So it would behoove you to take care of yourself. Seriously, right? So what I'm not saying to you is, we're talking about next steps. If it's burnout, you really need to step away and get some recovery. Whether that's a couple days, a week, a couple weeks. Most of y'all have time that you can spend because you have time, time away. You have sick leave, you have all this kind of leave. So you need to do that. What I'm not doing is suggest that you quit, right? We're not about to jump just because of, you heard this video. No, let's just assess this thing. Calm down. And if you've outgrown your career, your next step is clarity. You must get clarity. Don't panic, right? Don't panic. I've worked with thousands of women on how to really uncover their purpose in life, So don't panic. You really need clarity. And the beautiful thing is I built a career happiness clarity kit. The link is in my bio. The link is down below. You can actually get that. What I do is I walk you through a process to get all the answers that you need in terms of clarity. And it gives you the next steps that you need to take if you need clarity. So if that's something that's of interest to you, for you to get more answers, just click down there and get that kit that I specifically made for you. Listen, we're in this together and you're going to ultimately be okay. But we're going to take it easy and one step at a time. You just figured out this information. Now let's put a small little action step, whether it's taking some time off or getting the career clarity happiness kit so that you can find out some answers. If this video blessed you in any kind of way, please hit the subscribe button and a notification bell so that you can see the videos that I have coming to you every single week, and share this video with somebody else, because I can guarantee you somebody else needs to hear this information. And as I always say, you have the opportunity to go out there and create your own happiness. So go out there and do it. Okay, talk to you next time. Peace.